why you need vodka and baby powder for your car in winter, and 7 more brilliant tricks I'll show you in this video. Because every driver really should know these tricks for winter. You've probably experienced the first 2 problems yourself. You come outside in winter and your door handle won't open because it's frozen solid. To fix this, you can simply take some lukewarm water and pour it over the handle. Just make sure it isn't hot, it should only be lukewarm. And to prevent this problem in the future, you should regularly spray some silicone spray into the door handle. A much bigger problem is usually when the door itself is frozen shut. That means you can't open it anymore, no matter how hard you pull on the handle. Now you can try pressing firmly all around the door. With a bit of luck, this will break the ice and you'll be able to open the door afterwards. If that doesn't work, you can also pour some lukewarm water over it here as well, but make sure again that it's not hot, just lukewarm. After a certain amount of time, the ice will have melted and, ideally, you'll be able to open the door again. The reason you can't open the door is because the rubber that goes around the door freezes to the door itself. And you can actually prevent this issue quite easily with just a bit of baby powder. All you really need to do is open the door and carefully sprinkle a little bit of baby powder all around the rubber seal. Now, you should spread it thoroughly with your fingers so that you have rubbed a very thin layer all over the surface, which can't really be seen with the naked eye. This simple step ensures that no water can stick here anymore, keeping everything dry. That means the rubber seal can no longer freeze to your door. However, you should repeat this process regularly to maintain this protection. If you're still wondering what vodka has to do with your car in winter, we'll get to that in a moment. First, let's talk about what exactly you can do if your windshield wipers are leaving streaks. Because that's often the case in winter and ultimately means we can't see clearly anymore. You can actually fix this relatively quickly and easily. For this, we're going to mix up a little miracle solution. First, we need 200 milliliters of water. Then we add isopropanol. We need 100 milliliters of that, so a ratio of 2 to 1. We should now pour these 300 milliliters into a spray bottle. Now we finish preparing our miracle solution and we can take it to our car and use it for 2 brilliant purposes. Apply a small amount of it on your car window and grab a microfiber cloth to wipe the surface down very thoroughly all over. This way you'll be able to remove even stubborn dirt from your car window, and most importantly, it will be left sparkling clean without streaks. Another reason you might have streaks on your windshield is that the wiper blades themselves are dirty. You can also clean them with this mixture. To do this, put a small amount of isopropanol directly onto the microfiber cloth and thoroughly wipe underneath your wipers to remove all the coarser dirt. Now your wipers shouldn't leave any more streaks when you wipe the windshield, and you'll always have a clear view. Our next problem in winter, for which there is an incredibly quick and easy solution, is fogged up windows. Because you know this situation too. As soon as you get into your car, the windows immediately start to fog up. This happens because of the high humidity. But how can we get rid of it from our car as quickly as possible? For this, you should turn on the air conditioning, because the air conditioning removes moisture. In addition, you should definitely pay attention to 2 other settings. Set the fan to a high level and turn the heat up a bit. And make sure the recirculation button stays off so that fresh air from outside can come in. This way, fogged up windows will be a thing of the past in seconds, and you can successfully remove the moisture from your car. It's also important in winter to keep the drains clear, because a lot of leaves usually collect there. Ideally, open your hood and remove all the leaves lying around, because they could clog the drains, causing water to accumulate here and, in the worst case, even freeze and damage something. If there are still a lot of leaves under your windshield wipers, you should remove those as well, and it's best to do this regularly so that nothing happens in the first place. And if your windows are completely frozen, you've probably always cleared them with a scraper like this one. But did you know that most people have always been using it incorrectly? Because if you take a closer look at the sides, you'll see that one side has these ridges. In fact, they have an incredibly clever function, but unfortunately, hardly anyone knows about it. Because first, before you laboriously scrape off the ice, which usually isn't that easy, especially when the ice is already thicker, you should run these ridges over the ice. Because by doing this, as you can see here, you create these small grooves in the ice, and these are exactly the advantage we're aiming to achieve with this. Because this way we manage to loosen the surface of the ice already. Now, when we start to scrape over it, we hardly need to use any force to scrape, but can remove all the ice in one go, since we've already loosened it beforehand. But if you'd rather not scrape at all when your windshield is completely iced over, there's another brilliant method, but you really need to pay attention to some very important things. Because you can also de-ice your windshield by pouring water over it. However, under no circumstances should this water be hot, because if you pour hot water over your windshield, it can cause the glass to crack and you might even end up needing a new windshield. What you really ought to do instead is use lukewarm water. Because if we assume that the outside temperature is -5 degrees, and we pour water that's about 20 degrees warm over our windshield, absolutely nothing at all is going to happen, since the temperature difference is simply far too small for any tension to develop that could cause the glass to crack. As you can clearly see here with me, I have very thick ice on my windshield, and now I pour the lukewarm water over it and the ice immediately starts to melt. After that, I have a completely clear view and can drive off right away. If we wait too long, of course, the water would freeze again on the windshield. But since we're driving off and our car will naturally warm up, it shouldn't freeze again, so we have a clear view right away without having to do a lot of scraping. But what exactly is the deal with the vodka and our car? Because you can actually use it in an emergency, specifically for the windshield washer system. In the winter months, you should definitely make sure that you have antifreeze in there so that the reservoir doesn't crack and the entire washer system works properly. But if you don't have the right antifreeze on hand, you can also use a bit of vodka instead. It's important though that you use pure vodka, not some kind of mixed drink. If you pour the vodka directly into the reservoir, you'll have antifreeze protection down to -20 degrees. You can also mix it with water. With a mixture of 1 part water and 1 part vodka, you still get antifreeze protection down to -5 degrees, so it's a good alternative if you ever don't have anything else at home. If you want to discover 9 more brilliant winter hacks for your car that hardly anyone knows but everyone should, then check out the video you now see on the screen. Just click on it.